Sat Bisla, Musexpo is happening again in 2022. Fingers crossed. But Sat, welcome to Noise 11. Very excited that such a successful and important music event is still on the agenda for next year.
Yeah, look, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I just hope that with the pandemic, we can hopefully, get that under control and get life back to normal, not only for us, but obviously so many of the people that, have been affected by this pandemic. And, Music Expo is such an important event, not only for us, but our guests too, because it really brings together the global music community in a very, meaningful and cohesive way. So we've missed doing the event the past 2 years, and certainly very excited about 2022's event.
The keynote is all about the future of the music business, considering the fact that the last 2 years have been caught up in pandemic. The future of the music business is going to be a lot different moving forward than what it has been in the past.
Well, I think the music business constantly moves forward. So whether it's through new technology, new marketing strategies, there's always change. Change through a pandemic. It's been both good and bad. I mean, on so many different fronts, which we can get into a bit later. But I think change is constant. The DNA of the business never changes, and that's great music and great artists. Without those two factors, we don't have a business.
We're seeing a lot of veteran executives being replaced outside the music industry. In Australia, we sadly lost Michael Gudinski recently. But we've still got a lot of major people, the Irving Asoffs, the Michael Chuggs, that are still out there. But as the industry is moving forward and people are being changed, we're seeing a lot of people coming from outside the music industry to replace people who basically grew up within and grew their businesses within the music industry. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
The music business is no longer the business of music. It's a business of pop culture. So, music connects on so many different touch points, not just with the traditional business, but also with technology, esports, gaming, film, brands, fashion, docuseries, the list goes on and on. So I think the learning curve is so much more profound now for a lot of executives that you really have to understand pop culture and not just the music business. So I think part of that shift is because of that, change in the way the business is conducted, because consumers, they engage with music on all these different platforms. So you need executives that truly understand the kaleidoscope of what the music industry is now, which is so much broader and diverse than it was even 3 years ago.
Like with the Asoffs, the Gudinskis, the Chuggs, it was all about people with a great set of ears. Is that great set of ears necessary to run a corporation in the music industry anymore?
A&R is not just audio, it's also, Retina. I say audio and Retina is A&R. So you not only need great ears, but you need great eyes and a great vision. So, yes, that's certainly important, but you've also got to have all of these other abilities to truly A&R the music business, which, yes, in its basic terms is artist and repertoire, but it's also artist and relationships, artist and revenue, and in this world of advanced technology, it's also audio and retinal engagement, being able to see and hear everything across the globe.
The chart was once the benchmark for success, but it's really become totally irrelevant now. How do we measure success in the business these days?
I think it's the reverse. I mean, you said the chart is a success, but I've always felt that success is the chart. Success charters, the trajectory to where an artist can and will go. So that really hasn't fundamentally changed. I just think that success is measured in different ways now, not just through charts.
What about the actual physical format? I guess the music industry is all about selling a sound. Yet, we see in the film industry, it's all about increasing quality, bigger screens, greater audio, surround sound. The music industry has gone the complete opposite. We've gone from even the quality of the CD down to what you're getting in streaming. I guess that's accountable from a certain perspective that it's cheaper to produce a stream than it is to distribute a physical product. Has the music industry bitten its own foot by doing something like that?
we're seeing, different sort of consumption. So certainly streaming is one aspect, the experiential, whether it's live. I know this is talking about pre-pandemic, but even during the pandemic, there's the live aspect, there's the merchandise aspect, NFTs, and fashion brands. So I think what the music business has done is found new revenue streams to subsidize the lack of revenue that's coming in from physical format. Primarily whether it's tape, cassettes, or CDs, or even vinyl. Even though vinyl obviously has made a resurgence in the past few years, but I think it's revenue streams are replaced by other means.
Publishing's been a very interesting sector of the industry in the recent months. You've seen the sale of catalogues by Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, Neil Young, Fleetwood Mac. You know, is there a positive spin to that? What do you see as the reason an artist would go down that track? And why would you sell a catalogue like that?
Well, look, I think there have been so many unknowns during the past 18 months, and just when we think things are getting better, they get worse. So you mentioned to me earlier that Melbourne's gone through 5 lockdowns. LA has gone through several, and the past few weeks we've seen a resurgence of the variants. So now we're back to putting on masks in indoor places. So I think there's a lot of unknowns. So I think for some rights holders and rights creators, it's a way to at least guarantee income during this tumultuous time. And so maybe they're looking at ways to invest into other things outside of just music. I mean, we've seen that's happened with labels and publishers and management companies. They're all investing in things within music, but also taking revenue and investing in things outside of music. So I think that could be a part of it too, that they're looking at, just diversifying their portfolio.
So is publishing the most valuable part of the music industry now?
Well, it's certainly one of the most valuable parts. I mean, the multiples are really good right now. I mean, you're seeing anywhere between 15 up to 25 times. So it's a good time to sell, and so when the stakes are that high, as far as opportunity, it is quite tempting, especially when there are so many other unknowns as far as touring and other activities where artists would generate revenue.
I guess if we went back to 1980, 3 sectors of the industry with records, publishing and touring, probably in that order they had a value. That really has juggled now then. Even touring has fallen off purely and simply because of what is happening in the world today.
Well, absolutely. I mean, touring, the lack of touring affects so many other aspects. I mean, we talk about merchandise. I mean, when you go to a concert, you buy merchandise. You might buy physical products. So there's some of those things have been limited now because of the lack of touring. But again, I think difficult times also, lead to more entrepreneurialism. So I'm also seeing people being a lot more creative in finding ways to not only build new fans, but also re-engage with existing fans, but also find new revenue streams. So I think you're going to see a lot of, new ingenuity emerging as a result of the pandemic, and we already are.
The gap between major and indie has probably never been greater than it is at the moment. If an artist were to come to you and advise which way to go, how would you advise that they go one way or the other?
Well, I always advise them to go with the best partner, because just because you sign with a major label doesn't guarantee success. But on average, 90% of the acts that are signed fail. And so to me, it's not so much about the large or small aspect. It's like when you're a new artist, you want to sign with the best partner that really understands your creative and business vision. And certainly major labels have the ability to really grow success internationally because they have the teams and the wherewithal to do that globally. But when you're a new artist starting out, you sort of have to focus in 1 or 2 markets. So an independent label can do that just as well as a major label. And also in today's world, you've got so many ways to work with different strategic partners where you can outsource a lot of the capabilities to different teams, whether it be local or international, to pretty much do what a major label could do.
What about A&R? At one time it was all about discovering acts with longevity. Now it seems to be about finding that fast food, that high turnover. How do you see A&R as changing over the last 20 years?
frustrating. We all love fast food, but we also know that after a while, it can also be detrimental to your health or to the health of an industry. So we are living in a world of moments where you have these viral moments that come and go, but then you're seeing a lack of movements, which will be much healthier and long term for our industry. Career artists are good for business. Moments are good for now, but they don't, stand the test of time. So that's been frustrating. But I am seeing a combination of different mindsets within the A&R community globally. So you have the traditional A&R people that are really focused on the music and will develop the act long term. You have a combination of those type of A&Rs coinciding with those that maybe use get but still rely on data as a validation, and then those that are purely data and analytics driven that live by the numbers. But I remind them, what creates data? It's a human emotion that causes a reaction that causes the data to be born, not the other way around.
What about commercial radio? Once the all-important get a song on air, it used to be the priority of any record company. We're seeing a lot of public radio in this country taking a more important role within the music industry. Is that something that you're also seeing in the United States? That commercial radio isn't that important to the music industry anymore?
Well, I think, if you talk to certain people, for example, you talk to folks like Monty and Avery Lippman, the co-founders of Republic, they still say radio is very important because none of the streaming services can really provide that localism that radio can, or even regionalism. So radio is still very important, but it's no longer just the primary source. It's one of the sources to develop acts. So it's important, but there are other important players in the field as well now.
So March 2022 for Musexpo. What will be the theme of the next event?
Well, it's always about the entire scope of the music business and beyond. So we look at the way business is today and where it's going from a ground floor view, but also from a bird's eye view, and also bringing together those that are sort of charting new paths. So whether it's a new technology, a new platform, or new ways of doing business or being creative, we make sure that all of those skill sets and intel is shared with our audience so that they're fully informed of where the business is and where it's going and could go. And again, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of smart people, way smarter than me, that are willing to share their knowledge, their passion, their vision, and provide that information to build a better music business, because ultimately we're all in it together, and if we don't have a healthy business, it's bad for everyone, artists, industry, and fans alike.
Well, hopefully 2022 sees us all being able to travel again, and it becomes truly the international event that it has been in the past. Other than that, we look forward to Musexpo in some shape or form for 2022.
Well, we did too, Paul, and so look forward to sharing a nice glass of Pinot Noir, Australian, of course, from Margaret River, with you, and of course just enjoying the music and just listening and learning and meeting some great folks.
I'm from Victoria. It's got to be Yarra Valley, Sat.
Okay, my bad, sir. Apologies for that.
Yes, still a good drop. Sat, good to talk to you.
You too, Paul. Thanks for having me.